Yo, what up, TTC, or the NFL fans, or whoever the fuck this may concern? This is Private Fox, your favorite, most savage Falcon fan alive. And I wanted to tell you guys a story because when I uploaded my Ari G remix, or whatever the hell, I got a lot of questions. A lot of people were like, what happened to that retard? And I saw my boy Billy Bob ask me a question like, what happened to him? And I wanted to make this video for a while, but I never really got the chance to, I never really got the chance to, like, tell the story because I was going through a lot of legal shit, which I'll get into later in this video. And then, yeah, basically, I'll tell you guys the story of when I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's bring it back to the year 2014, so about 4 to 5 years ago. All right. I was just a 17, 18-year-old kid, who was, I was one of those punk guys in high school. I was one of those troublemakers that would always skip school and smoke weed and do the bad things and stuff like that. That's kind of why I joined the Army, because I did a lot of dumb shit as a kid. But, basically, I met Ari, because he was mutual friends with me on Facebook. He had a lot of mutual friends, and he ended up friending me. He went to my high school. We didn't go at the same time at high school. He just knew the same people I knew, so I thought it would be cool. I mean, I was like, he was a Steelers fan, always talking shit on my page about the Falcons and stuff like that. So, and I always talked shit to him, other dumb shit, but he basically tells me like one day, like, hey, come out to my apartment or whatever. I'm like, oh, you live by yourself? I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, cool. Me chill without any adult supervision, because at the time I didn't have my own place and stuff like that. So I just kind of, took the opportunity, went to his place and shit and chilled for a bit, and I thought this was the weirdest motherfucker I've ever met in my life. Like, his face was deformed, he was kind of chubby, and he had really skinny arms. It was really weird. Like, this guy was deformed some way. And I mean, he wasn't retarded per se, but he wasn't like all there. He didn't really have any, like, he had a social, like, fucking had a social disorder of some kind. But I try to look past that. I'm not the type of motherfucker to judge you if you have something wrong with you. I try to be friends with everybody. I'm not trying to date friends that are attractive or some shit or look normal. You know what I mean? I gave him the chance because that's the type of person I was. So, I go to his place. I smoke weed sometimes. Drink, smoke weed. The type of party shit. Then I met some of his friends, and some of his friends were girls, like Alana and Alina and whatever, and they were all interested in me, and they were all pretty attractive themselves, but like, Ari liked them all, but he could never get with them because, he was ugly as fuck. So he would always get mad when the girls would go for me rather than him, and yeah. Boy, that was a disaster at its own. And he was still a virgin and stuff, and would, get mad how women wouldn't fuck him and shit like that. And his parents were fucking assholes, man. His parents would come by the apartment sometimes, and they would always be strict or whatever and shit. Like, I remember I was 17, and his fucking parents printed out the tobacco laws in North Carolina. I'm like, nobody gives a fuck, dude. I'm like, dude, we're 17-year-old kids. You know what I'm saying? You really think we give a fuck about the law like that? You know what I mean? Like, I guess he just didn't understand. His parents were strict as fuck. His parents were fucking assholes and shit. And they would do a lot of dumb shit. I mean, like, they just didn't understand. They honestly weren't good parents, if you ask me. They were rich, snotty assholes that, sent Ari off. Like, this kid had problems, and they sent him off to live by himself, which I thought was pretty fucked up. His parents would constantly beat him and shit like that, and they would be assholes, and I felt bad for him and shit. Like, I remember one time he called me crying because his dad beat him up. That fucking piece of shit beat him up. And I was like, oh man, I felt bad for him. I remember me and my girl at the time, we got in our car and took him, and he cried, and we smoked him up. We did something. We did whatever we could. And then, basically, fucking, I introduced him to my TTC videos, right? My Falcons for Life TTC videos. And he was like, dude, this shit is funny. He's like, dude, you're a great trash talker. Like, I want to do this shit. Like, I want to fucking, looks like BJ's home. Or whatever. But, yeah, he was like, fucking, you know, I want to be part of this shit too. Like, so I was like, okay. I don't really think much of it because, you know, I was fucking, you know, I was just clueless to really how he was back in the day. So I was just like, you know what? Join the TTC. Join the TTC. And at first, everyone's making fun of him because he's making these videos and he's acting retarded as shit. And he's like, when he's making videos, he like really squints his eyes and he's always looking away like, hey, what up, TTC? This is your boy, Ari G. And, you know, he would do a lot of dumb shit. He would just say a bunch of nonsense in his videos. I don't really think much of it, really. You know, I tried my hardest not to say I knew this motherfucker in real life or whatever, just because I know I would get hammered if people knew that. So I try to keep that quiet as possible, even though he would mention me in like every single fucking video he made. So, yeah. So then I guess it got out to a few people or whatever, and me and him would constantly have fights. Like he would always be bipolar with me. It would be weird. Like one day he would hate my guts because I would have fucked somebody in his room or fucked my ex-girlfriend in his room, and he would have gotten mad at me for it. And you know, like at first he would be cool with it, then he would get mad. He was just very bipolar. He did it, he just wasn't all there. He had no common sense, but I kind of still felt bad for him, you know, like his parents weren't giving him too much food to live on the apartment by himself. His parents, he worked for his parents at his dad's company, and his parents like fired him from his own job. I'm like, you know, damn, like this kid has problems, and you're just treating him like fucking shit, like straight fucking shit. And I would hear like, you know, yeah, but basically, one time, to make a long story short, he gets mad at people, or whatever. He gets mad at people, you know, he gets into all these TTC beefs. Like, one time, somebody exposed him, you know, showing him naked and shit like that. I don't know if you guys remember that. One time, he said all these N-words on camera, and then the TTC just, like, fucking roasted his ass for it because he got so mad at black people calling him gay or whatever. He just did a lot of dumb shit. Like, he wasn't all there or whatever. And I tried to tell him, like, maybe this TTC shit isn't for you. And then he would constantly leave the TTC and then come back and do all other types of dumb shit or whatever the fuck. But, you know, like I said, I didn't think much of it, you know what I mean? I didn't really think much, you know, of the, you know, racist retard that was Ari G. So, basically, you know, he says all these N-words on camera, and I'm the first one to tell him, you know, I contact him in real life, like, dude, like, what the fuck is your issue, you know what I mean? What the fuck is your issue? You can't be saying shit like that, man. And then, you know, one day I remember catfishing him, because he really liked this girl named Elizabeth, but, that, like, I guess she didn't like him back, so I said this was Elizabeth, and I like Preston, which is my real name, and I like Preston, and then he got mad at me, but it was a catfish, you know. I just remember fucking with him hardcore, too, which I'm kind of guilty of, and at the end of the day, I kind of look back on it and feel bad about, you know, shit I did. Then, you know, I moved from Charlotte to Asheville, and, North Carolina. And I was just like, and, you know, I kind of, well, then, you know, one day, I don't know what triggered this, but this is when, you know, I had enough of this fucking kid. You know what I mean? I still kind of put up with his bullshit. I knew he wasn't racist with all the N-words he said. I knew he was just overly angry, overreacting, doing a lot of dumb shit. So, you know, I kind of gave him a break. Let's just say that. And then one day, he tells a couple of my friends, I get a call from one of my friends, and he's like, dude, Ari's telling people that you're raping people or some shit, and how I raped a couple. I'm like, hold the fuck up. So you mean to tell me that after all the shit I did for this motherfucker, I would constantly try to get him $5 so I could buy him cigarettes, because I knew he was depressed with his fucking disease or whatever. I would get him food when I had to, you know what I mean? Surely I wasn't the best friend for him, you know, or whatever, but like, I didn't do, you know, he accused me of doing a lot of shit like hitting women or fucking, you know, vandalizing his neighbors, which I was never really responsible for, which he claimed I was, but I never really was, to be honest with you. And he would do a lot of crazy shit and just like slander me to his parents and slander me to other people. And it kind of just irked my nerves and just pissed me off. And the whole rape thing, like, you know, some people actually wanted to beat me up because of his rape allegations. Some people actually believed this motherfucking retard that I knew. So me and my friend Alex go to his fucking house. And I'm like, Ari, what the fuck is up? And then he wouldn't, you know, he would say, oh, I don't trust you or whatever. I think you're a rapist. And they fucking said shit about you. So I fucking punched him right in his fucking face. And I punched him a couple times, you know. I literally, like, beat the shit out of him. I was just overly angry. And at the time, I really probably shouldn't have done that because he did have his own problems or anything. But this is one of my friends. This is somebody I considered a friend. At his lowest point in his life, when he was crying and shit, and when he was doing all this dumb shit, I would, you know, try to help him out when his parents were being dickheads. So I recently just, like, punched him right in his fucking face. And, you know, I felt bad. I remember him, like, you know, getting all mad and almost crying and shutting the door because, you know, and shit like that. I remember his dad trying to call me. I was like, you know what? Just stop calling this fucking number, dickhead. You know, you beat your son up too. You know, I've heard stories about how you beat up Ari too. So it doesn't really make a difference that I did it. You know what I mean? This motherfucker is a racist piece of shit. And he said a lot of dumb shit, you know. It's basically what he fucking gets. And, you know, yeah, I knew he had some diseases or anything. A lot of people are like, oh, you beat up a retard. He wasn't fucking retarded. He had common sense, and he knew fucking better. The motherfucker knew better about a lot of shit. He would just get overly angry and pissed off. Like, I mean, if I was in a situation, I'd probably be like, you know, fuck the world too. But, so basically, not too long ago, I get a cop shows up at my door saying, oh, you know, you're getting charged, Ari G is charging you with simple assault. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, really? Really? You know, you slander me for fucking raping somebody, and now you're charging me because you're a fucking pussy. You can't take, it wasn't even that bad. It was like only 4 or 5 fucking punches or whatever. You know what I mean? I've been beaten up way worse than that by a couple people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear his damn bullshit. And then I go to court. I see him one day in court with my friend Brandon there, and we just steady laughing at his ass. And I actually wanted to try to use that N-word video he made where he calls out black people and calls everybody niggers and shit in the courtroom to say, you know, this guy's a piece of shit of what he does. And my lawyer, you know, kind of saw it. He's like, yeah, we could probably get him for this. So the next court date that shows up, another court date, because, you know, if you know anything about court, you got 2 pre-trial dates. He didn't show up. And I basically won the court case. And then he never really showed his face again. Like the day after I beat him up, he made a video saying, oh, I'm leaving the TTC because now people won't kick my ass or something like that. I kind of felt bad for him, but at the end of the day, you can't be saying shit like that, you know what I mean? So, basically, he's out of the TTC and he's not making videos anymore because I beat him up and I assaulted him, you know? I felt bad about it, but at the same time, you were my fucking friend, dude. You can't be lying about me, saying dumb shit like that. And then you can't say, you know, niggers and call people niggers and shit like that and say that, oh, I hope, you know, niggers go back to slavery or some shit like that. But that's basically what happened. You know, I went off, I got away scot-free with it. And I don't know what's up with him, you know, hey. I try to avoid him. I don't want to be friends with this guy anymore. You know, this guy crossed the fucking line. You know, he could run and say it was all my fault, but, you know, I stood up for myself because he was slandering me, and I just had enough of it because I did a lot for this motherfucker, and I did a lot for, you know, and I mean, his family didn't like me because he would constantly make up lies about me and shit, but I never really cared, and I just ended up, you know, doing what I needed to do. But that's basically the story. That's basically what happened. You know, I wanted to just get this across. You know, yeah, fuck Ari G.